New year, new intro, but the same old Browns. This week, we're going to dive into a game that felt like a Netflix drama called Dolphins Gone Wild, a masterclass on how to lose a football game in the most Browns way possible. The Dolphins didn't just beat us, but they turned the dog pound into a fish tank. It wasn't Tua throwing dimes, but Huntley, while Tyreek sprinted like he stole our playbook. And us fans over here wondering if the offense got lost on South Beach before kickoff. Yes, I know it was a home game, but that's the point. The offense didn't even show up because I think they were in Florida thinking it was a road game. That's why they did play at home. See, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? Why we only scored 3 points. But that's not all we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the NFL news. Miles makes history. The Browns move up in the draft. Is there a path to the number one pick? The defensive line is getting better. By the way, Barry's guys are making an impact. Why did the Browns fans expect a fifth-round pick to be their savior? Question mark. Stadium drama. That's fun to talk about. And the OSU win over those Oregon Ducks.
OH.
But before we get into all that, please take a moment, like and subscribe, and enable notifications on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram to stay updated to our latest content. Also, follow our Discord, where we will be still talking off-season talk on the Discord, even though this season has been pathetic. And also, lastly, a huge shout out to our incredible partners, CB Excavating. If you have any excavating needs, underground utilities, video camera inspections, do you need a stone driveway installed? Do you need a septic tank repair or an installation? Do you need sanitary sewers or water lines? Waterproofing issue, drainage issues, give them a call at 216-870-4026. That's 216-870-4026 for a free estimate today. They are bonded and insured. So stop what you're doing and give them a call today. Don't wait till your basement floods. They can help you out. Also, if you need some help on saving some money, give our boy Doug White a call from Allstate Insurance. Let him see if he can match or beat what you're currently paying on all your insurance needs. Lastly, if you do give these two people a call, please let them know the Bearded Browns sent you.
Yes.
Now, Chad, welcome.
Hey,
Chad he slid in just in the nick of time.
Do the intro here.
Are you there, Chad? I might have to fix his settings as well. Hold on here, because you know how it is here. We always got that technical difficulty, but I think I fixed him there.
Yeah,
Chad?
he's up.
Okay.
I see him.
There we go.
Nice.
Okay, I'm seen and heard.
All right. Did you miss the new intro music?
You did.
I did. I'll have to check it out on YouTube after.
It's pretty. Mike cooked some stuff up for the new year, and I'm excited to announce there will also be a new Saturday intro music, so you have to stay tuned. Little tease.
Yeah.
All right.
Heck
First,
yeah.
first, no more of that copyright issues anymore, because if they do, we're going to sue you. Everybody. We're going to sue everybody. We're just going to sue everybody. Let's start off with breaking news in the NFL. Pro Bowl rosters came out today, and I know it used to be a big thing, right? When the Pro Bowl rosters came out, people were excited if their player got it. Now it's just like, all right. Everyone can make the Pro Bowl. I mean, Huntley made a Pro Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you just start seeing some of the people that have made it in the last decade. You shake your head, and you're like, "What does this even mean anymore?"
It's. Do you guys even watch the Pro Bowl?
Oh my god, I haven't watched it since like 2010.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in well over a decade.
It used to be a huge thing. I used to watch it when they did the skills competition and all that fun jazz, but now it's just like watered down.
Now it's a giant carnival. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's
the best I can say is, like, sometimes I'm like out and about on whatever day it is, a Saturday or whenever it is, and it's on somewhere, like at a bar or something, but I never like tune in, like, okay, let's see how Joe Batonio does blocking for one of the 7 best quarterbacks in the league, because the top 4 have decided to step away from it or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of that, Browns have 3 starters and 6 alternates, which is a good thing, because it shows you, even though our teams was horrible, even though some of those alternates are, you kind of like, or one of those like, why did he make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I think that was pretty obvious which one that is.
Yeah, that's when I saw Nick Chubb on there, I'm thinking like, I love our fans. I do, but
there's a comeback. First of all, he's not even going to win comeback player of the year because he didn't make it through this season. But like, there's different honors or privileges to people that like you're excited about who make it back. But Nick Chubb's not a Pro Bowler this year. He averaged like 3 yards a carry, and he's got like 200 rushing yards. Like, let's pump the brakes, team.
Yeah, I agree. It was more of what's the word I want to use? I said it earlier in the text, but a sympathy vote, if you will.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, notable snubs. Patty Mahomes, because I think people are just tired of seeing him. Not that he's going to matter, because I'll probably be in the championship anyways, Super Bowl. And our beloved Baker Mayfield.
Didn't make the Pro Bowl, really?
He did not make the Pro Bowl. He did not.
Man.
Can you imagine if he did? What the Browns fans would be
actually,
saying?
we should all be relieved that he didn't.
Yeah.
But I am surprised because he's like right up there on the cusp of being that guy this year.
Yeah, Sam Darnold. He probably will come in if one of those guys don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm sure he's an alternate.
Which
is why I hate the Pro Bowl. Like I said, when I was joking about Bitonio, like the dude was incredible. And he had season after season where he's awesome, and then he's in the Pro Bowl blocking for like Andy Dalton, and you're like, this is not even like a top 15 quarterback. What's happening? Let alone like a Pro Bowl top like 4 guy.
I'm sure Sam is excited not excited that his boy Patty Mahomes, because he loves those Kansas City Chiefs, didn't make it. Next, there's a notable rest week for some teams that secured playoff spots: the Bills, Kansas City, Philly, and the Rams. Rams kind of surprised me a little bit, but I think they're pretty comfortable with resting guys. They either get the 3rd or the 6th seed, I believe. Is that a good move to rest?
I think for the Rams are a very different scenario, I think, from a lot of the other ones, because I think that's purely like we have a ton of guys that are so banged up that we don't stand a chance in the playoffs if we don't get guys, healthy and able to go. For a lot of other teams, I think they do it for precaution, and I think the numbers are out to like that really pose the question: is this a good thing or not? Because like you get your rest, but you also get your rust, and so I think there's some pretty good arguments out there of like you might be better off playing these guys so they aren't off, especially bye week guys, and then they sit for 2 full weeks and come back in. I know that's been something that's come up with the Ravens in the past. So
what do you think, Mike?
I am sorry. I was sitting here trying to check levels on sound.
Oh,
just to make
Mike's
sure.
like, I'm over here producing, man. Why are you messing with me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my fault.
No, what do you think about the rest? Do you think, you're
honestly, this brings up a valid point about the Cam Ward thing, and I'm gonna hit base with it real quick. You come in to get your record, and then right after you get your record, you stop playing. In the NFL, it's a whole different scenario where you have valuable guys that need to be ready for a playoff spot. So in the playoffs, I can understand sitting your guys. The Cam Ward thing really, really pissed me off. I don't know if that pissed you off, Chad. I don't think you really hit in the comments.
Yeah, you were more steamed on it than me. It's been a bubbling topic for him to like save himself a little bit.
But
I thought Browns fans
tell
were
me it's not selfish as hell to go out there and get your record and then sit, and then your team loses. You're playing with your brothers for the last time. Your whole collegiate career is, I want to get this record and then sit out. That's just...
Yeah. I'm not sure if he considered those guys his brothers. He's transferred around a couple times.
3 times, yes.
Yeah. So it's not like I've been here for 4 years with these guys. These are just guys he's playing with this year to get, this has become a booster program. But in college, I think it's a little different. In the NFL, I think it's more like, you rest your guys, and these are professionals, and you think like if they're banged up, you need your time. But I think there's also some consistency that you give away when you rest guys for 1 week and possibly 2 going into the playoffs and going in against a team that just grinds their way into the playoffs and is ready to go full steam against you.
Yeah, you can see that yesterday's game, right? Ohio State, you had Oregon at that week off. They seemed to be rusty. in the early parts of that game. And I think that's what kind of
Good point.
maybe did them in.
Hold on,
Ohio
Chad. Rick
Good
Vaughn
point.
is talking.
I'm sorry.
I said, hold on, Chad. Rick Vaughn is talking.
Oh,
No, I love the look. I love that look,
I
by the
do
way.
like him. I just had to say it.
the old age. No, yeah. So, and that's what I think of as like it's obviously, it was talking on the radio too. People thought like those people, the week off, did it hurt or damage the Oregon Ducks? And it seemed like they had all the momentum and all of a sudden just stop while Ohio State was playing, and they got momentum in against Tennessee, and they go and blow the doors off against Oregon. So I think there's some validation to that. And something I want to bring up, James even brought one thing that surprised me specifically. James brings up, he says, I can't believe Barkley isn't trying to get the record. And I'm shocked that Philly isn't trying to. I wonder who's basically, I guess we don't know because we're not there. I wonder whose decision it was. If it was Barkley,
And if you ask him, I bet he's like, no, it's about winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
It's about
yeah.
the big picture, not individual accolades. But I'm sure in the back of his head, he's like, man, if I could just do both, that would be.
Yeah. Can I play a half and get 100 yards and then cut out? But yeah, I was kind of surprised about that.
Chad, James Frank says your beard is getting there. That's because the Browns haven't won.
Yeah, I got to tell you what, shaving this the after October for the like Jameis era really held me back from having something golden by the end of the season. But I mean, the goal was, for everybody that doesn't know, I shaved my beard right before the season started, and we're like, let's see what it turns into by the time the season's over. And then after Deshaun got hurt, I shaved it, and I was like, okay, now this is the Jameis Winston era beard, hoping it would like lead into some wins. I'd be like, oh, this is like the winning beard, and then here we are with 3 wins, and I'm like, and this puny beard.
You didn't get that.
Nothing went right. Nothing went right.
I feel like DTR got shafted. They didn't give him an era, like a shave.
No, I was
DTR
never
No,
given
he's not worth it.
DTR an era. No way.
Not worth it. Not worth it. All right, speaking of the Browns, let's get into some game talk. Good, bad, and the ugly. Our favorite segment, one of our favorite segments. I don't. I'm at the point where I don't care who does good, bad, and ugly. I'll be excited once this ends. That means the season is done because the season has been
Be a
horrible.
lot of good.
This is
But,
just an in-season topic,
yeah,
and
we're done.
It's got to go soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad, wait, are you still in your scrubs?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I just
team
literally
player.
ran in the door. I ran in the door, set
player.
up my monitor, and here I am.
Nice.
All right.
I'll go with the good. Miles getting his sack record, I'm sorry, which is, it's one of many things that you can be happy about the season, but at the same time, when you think about the season, you're just like, man, I would have loved to have that with a winning season. I would love to have that with a playoff push here, or even a playoff push. I think I would have been content with. It's sad to see, even with probably hit on it too. Jerry Judy's on the brink of another historic mark for the Browns, but it's going to be another, man, what could have been if all that would have been, it would have been a magical season. But glad to see Miles get that. And he probably going to go for the defense player of the year if he's trying to get that sack record too against Lamar.
Yeah.
Just quick time out. Both the guys you mentioned, by the way, I think it's pretty obvious that some of what you just said has to do with the frustration Miles has and why he kind of like spoke out and said, I need to know where this team is going, because like I think part of it comes from that. Like, I'm like killing myself here and I'm setting records, and you have to feel, and I know Jerry Jeudy just said the same thing this week, that you got your first 1,000-yard season, you've really kind of like silenced some of the critics, and they both must feel and have said in one way or another the same thing. Like, it's great, that's great, I'm so glad about that, but it just doesn't feel great when you win 3 games. And it doesn't mean it's like you need to go to the Super Bowl for that to mean something, but they're feeling the pain of this losing season, this news cycle of like, oh, how did the Browns only win 3 games? Do they need to blow it up? All that stuff. And it does probably take away a lot of like the self-gratification of the things they just worked so hard for. So winning 6 games, 8 games, 10 games would probably feel so much better if you felt legitimate about the season and the team than it does to get these individual milestones without anything to show for the whole team.
Yeah, I want to hit on that. Daryl Ryder said it earlier that I've said it as well, and I agree with him completely because you've seen this whole team just drop morale. There's been no love, it doesn't seem like anymore. When Watson came here and Watson's in the game, you just see this blankness that's not there. And then now that he's still on the team, you still see it. Like you had the Flacco come in after and build some kind of team morale, and then boom, you got you got him coming back, playing 6 games again, getting a season-ending injury. Fans are pissed. Boom, Jameis Winston brings some morale back, building a little bit of culture that we needed, and then boom, it just falls apart again because now we are in the soft rebuild stage.
Man, they're all right where we are. They know that like this isn't going anywhere without a quarterback. And when another quarterback like Flacco or Jameis comes in and starts really launching it, I'm sure they get in the moment. But as the season comes to an end, one way or another, they all are looking at each other like, so next year, what are we? Show me something to make me feel like next year we're not walking into a bad version of Deshaun Watson again. This year, I think they ended with that a little bit of a high with Flacco, thinking like Deshaun will be back. He looked pretty good before he got hurt. This year, it's like Deshaun will be back, and he looked terrible before he got hurt. So it probably feels worse this year than last year. They had a much better season, and there was like a reason to be hopeful about Watson coming back. This year, they had a terrible season, and there's no real reason anyone should be hopeful about Watson except for the 6 guys on Twitter with a clock on their name that will ride or die with the idea that guy is still a superstar. And like, they don't believe that anymore in the building. And that's rough. And I think even last year after the injury, they saw him play. I mean, he went 4-1. They saw him play against Baltimore. Like they thought, okay, he's coming back. And then this year was crash. So yeah. Mike, did you want to take the bad? I feel like this is rolling into the bad.
Yeah, I mean it is.
I'm sorry. It's rolling into the ugly. It's rolling into the ugly.
Well, I mean it is. It's rolling into both. Yes, losing players in meaningless games, and that makes you kind of wonder: are we really in full tank mode since we're still playing our dominant starters? But then you have people go down. Unfortunate for us, no season-ending injuries as of late. Still, again, the JOK thing and Cedric Tillman thing kind of sucks to not know anything at all, pretty much as to what's going on with those. But we're literally still losing players in meaningless games, and that's got to stop.
Yeah, we lost Pierre Strong this week. I think we lost Dante Foreman.
Yes,
this week we lost a couple of guys.
Deontay Foreman also lost the ball at the goal line, just in case.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, he's a different kind of loss because there's no chance he's coming back. But I think they think they still liked Pierre Strong. Ford, of course, had a rough time dealing with an ankle injury. And you're just looking at some guys. You're looking at some guys that like are going down and they're out there. So this is frustrating to guys on the team. They're putting DTR out there. We obviously have no real hope or plan of winning. And then I'm going down with an injury, like hurting myself in my career for this, and they aren't doing a full tank. They're doing like this soft tank where they're like, well, we want our guys out there. We want everybody still trying, but we're setting ourselves up in a position where we don't have a good enough quarterback to compete and actually win. It's the only reason I really believe Winston is not out there, because when it came 3 games left in the season and they saw we're like 5th. If we win one more game, we might pick 8th. If we lose out, we might pick 3rd or hell even 1st. They went into this, let's put in a quarterback that can't win mode, knowing, I mean, they see this guy in practice every day. They know what he can do. They've seen him in other games. Zappy is getting thrown out there for his very first action. The chance of him beating the Ravens is where they had 12.5-point favorite. You're right. The bad is that these games are meaningless and players are still going out there feeling like the Browns organization is putting them at risk for no real reason. And that goes right into what I just said. The ugly is that this is the worst quarterback start in history. They threw out DTR. They have to know he can't play. The guy's got 1 touchdown, and I think he's got 4 starts now. He has 1 full week of preparation, which everybody's the preparation is what he's missing. What he's missing is a skill set for the NFL. He's
Yeah.
jittery. He's frantic. He's a sophomore player that I've heard like 200 people this year say, well, it's his rookie year. It's not. He's not even just a redshirt
His third year.
guy. He played last year. Like he played last year, and he played six years of college. Like he should be
Yeah.
better than this, and he's not. He's showing me like he's not an NFL quarterback, which is fine. He was a 5th-round pick. They took a flyer. They're like, he has a good skill set. He looks like he could play the Deshaun Watson offense. At the time, you were assuming Deshaun would be much better and still out there, and you were looking for a cheap backup so you didn't have to pay a $5 million backup. And it didn't work, and I don't care that much because we have like 5 5th-rounders a year, and it was a dart throw. But it's a terrible start. I've been telling people since I saw him play last year, he's not very good, and the chance of him winning you games or being your future or seeing what you have in him as anything but like a third stringer was a slim chance, and that's exactly what happened. And so like it all just boils together as like you're losing players, you have a quarterback that can't win. Zappy's coming in. I actually think Bailey Zappi's a little better than him, but also you're looking at a guy that's thrown less touchdowns than interceptions in his career. So for all the Browns fans, like, well, he did have that one good game, and it happened to have been against us. That doesn't get you very far. It was a lucky game.
Yep.
And, you know, I also don't think he's very good, and I don't think we have much of a chance. But it's embarrassing to me that he's our 4th starting quarterback again in the same season. And it's got to be frustrating. We talked about it to the linemen and stuff who are like, I just figured out I'm trying to block for Deshaun. Now I'm trying to block for Winston. Now I have to block for DTR, who's scrambling again like Deshaun was out of the pocket. Now I got to block for Zappy, and I've got, 3 days to figure out how he plays the game? Like, he's barely been on the
stuff. Yeah, and you
terrible.
You had a good point with the DTR in his college. Like a lot of people don't take that into consideration that he has a lot of snaps in college. Like if you would
Kid's like
think
26.
like you would think like, oh, he only had 1 year in college and you come in, he's struggling. That's understandable. But this dude's been playing for 5 or 6 years in college. Like, I mean, he should know how to throw a ball. He should know how to do certain reads. He should know how to do some of the stuff he isn't doing here. So I'm with you. I didn't understand why people thought this guy was going to be good, even with a week of practice or preparation.
I want to let you guys know, Dorian Thompson Robinson's mom does not like him being called DTR, so please refrain.
Okay, but the Browns are 20.5-point underdogs.
I have great news for Dorian and his mom. You're not going to have to hear us saying his name very longer.
I don't think any team is going to be saying his name. I'll be surprised if that happens, actually.
Yeah, it'd be shocking if he makes an NFL roster next year.
Speaking of horrible game and DTR, the Browns easily handled by the Tua-less Fins in the flex backup battle. Wow, tongue twister. Guys, thoughts about the game. Listen, this show is we're not going to break down this game, obviously. This game was sad. There's really nothing to talk about either way.
So we know
it should have been interesting storylines. Like, so Huntley is playing for the Dolphins, and nobody wanted to trade. Remember, we put Huntley on the trade block. Nobody wanted to trade for Huntley, and he eventually got cut. And the Dolphins basically picked him up in desperation. He's also starting again this year. So, like, if either, like, I guess for them, they're still relevant because they might slip into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, if the Browns were even average, it probably would have been like if the Browns had the amount of wins as like the Bengals and were like a losing record, but on the cusp of maybe turning it around, getting your 8th win, getting your 9th win, and maybe being that like little bit of a pesky wild card potential team, this probably would have never got flexed. It probably would have stayed at its normal time. People wouldn't have cared if it was backups because it was like, which one of these teams can get their team passed? But instead, it just turned into this like, here's 2 teams who aren't as good as we thought they'd be with 2 quarterbacks playing that we didn't think we would see playing and in any chance because they're both like 3rd stringers essentially. And they got flexed out of their spot. And then you saw the game and you're like, okay, the NFL definitely nailed that move.
Yeah, the Browns are the first team to ever get a game flexed on a Thursday ever. And the first team to get 2 flexes or 3 flexes in a year.
And they earned it. They put in the work.
Yeah, they absolutely earned it.
Yeah. It was a bad game. It was exactly what people expected. There was not much offense. It looks like there was some offense on the the side of the Dolphins, but the reality was there was so little offense on the Brown side. We basically gave the Dolphins so many good opportunities to get on the board, and our defense is as much as there. We talked about it at the midseason report, and we've kind of talked about it. They've been even better since, despite missing a couple guys. Like, they're still pretty darn good, but like, you can't just play that 65+% of the snaps of the game and be able to compete against
I guess
Hill.
what the biggest bummer was for me is to see Huntley on our roster, and then bam, he comes in and just destroys us. That was the biggest bummer. You had the guy.
Yeah.
And we know what DTR is capable of. We know what DTR is capable of every week.
I mean, in preseason, again, they looked pretty neck and neck, and we all talked about, like, which one do you trade? And I think you guys might have both come down on Huntley. I came down on whichever one you can get the higher draft pick for, because I think either one of them is fine as a third, but it was like, they both played similarly in preseason against bad competition, and they're both pretty bad in the regular season. That might have been one of Huntley's better performances, but he's playing with Achane, who makes it look really easy. He's so fast. He's playing with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like, it's just it feels to me like he's in a better position, but I still think DTR on that team versus Huntley on this team probably loses the game. The plus side is that's exactly what the Browns wanted to happen. And you could see how they're like, well, if DTR doesn't work out, we don't want Huntley. We want nobody. We want to move on. So they kind of did the whole, we'll give DTR a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then good. We'll move on. We don't need an accidental garbage win. So,
yeah, and he's just a 5th-round pick. I mean, I don't understand why these fans are. I didn't understand it from the beginning of the year, how we were pining, they were crying, even when Winston was struggling throwing DTR. It's like, y'all going to regret everything y'all have asked for this year. You guys are living in regret. You guys wanted Kevin out of play calling. How's that working out? You wanted DTR.
Never
Watson
admit it.
hurt. Yeah, you wanted Watson out. You got Winston. He had a good couple of games, but then you started pining for DTR. And now you're like, oh, I guess we can do Zappy. It's like,
these are the same fans that wanted Baker out and now are like, oh, I can't believe you move on from Baker. Now 3 years later that he's actually good.
Baker
it's like
tonight.
Like, dude, I was running a show at that point, and I remember people just being like, this guy's not a franchise quarterback. He'll never get you to the Super Bowl. Get rid of him. And I remember having the exact same conversation I'm having all the time now about Stefanski. It doesn't matter if he's not the greatest quarterback in history. He's a better quarterback than you've had in a long time, and keeping him has its upside in consistency, stability, respectability, and nobody wanted it. They just we want star or nothing, or bust out and start over. And it's like, that's why it's hard with the fans. Like, I get the passion, but like, you can't go listening to the fans because they want what they want in the moment, and they're not always thinking about the big picture. They're scrambling. We don't want Baker. We need something better. We need better than that. And the owner, who's always somewhat listening, is like, maybe like, we do need better than that. Let's shoot for the fences for a superstar. And here we are in a spot that nobody wants to be in.
Yeah.
I hope he stops that. Listening to the fans. Let's Jerome Ford looks decent enough to make it through a season, right? As a backup. Now, I'm not saying that he's starter material, but I do. Yeah, and I wanted to say that, but I didn't want you guys to dump on me. I think he's good. Now, again, I think it goes back to the argument of like Joe Thomas, and then the next left tackle is just going to be a bum. And I think we're comparing him a lot to Chubb. I think there's some things that he does that is well. Does he hit the hole fast enough? Not yet. Can he fix that? I don't know. Maybe this is who he is, but
that probably is his biggest problem. He shuffles a little bit. He doesn't read the hole and burst. He spends a little bit too much time in the backfield, and not out of patience, more out of like not reading it fast enough. When he does find it, though, man, he makes big play. He has like, in the last 3 weeks, he's had like 101. I could be off a couple yards, but I think it's like 101, 116, and 130 yards in the last 3 games. That's borderline 350 yards in 3 games. He has had like 10 like accelerated like burst plays where he's gotten more than 10 yards or even 20 yards on on a burst by finding the corner or like getting past the second level. It's just I get the idea of like he's not your ideal starter because he's just doesn't feel like a third down back. He's not a great blocker, and he sometimes loses yardage on plays. But like we got a fan base of people pining for Kareem Hunt, who averages 3 yards a carry. This is averaging like 4.4 this season
because he scored
he can make big
score.
plays.
Hunt scores
partially.
touchdowns. Hunt could score a touchdown. That's why he got a
Yes.
touchdown. He's a good player.
He's one of the
scored a
leading touchdown scorers of the Cleveland Browns. But yes, listen. Also, it has to do with the offensive line that's been created now for the passing game. Now I think that we're shifting more to the running game. You see more of Jerome Ford getting those holes made.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a quarterback.
Maybe. That's a good point.
That's my outlook.
And he's been better in the second half of the season, just like he was last year. And like when he gets a rhythm, maybe he's okay. And the line is playing better recently, but they struggled at the beginning, and they are playing a very different blocking scheme than they were ideally set up to be. And they have a new line coach. There's a lot of factors for the line, and I'm expecting better next year. But the reality is, if they were just playing a grind play action type of a passing scheme, like a little bit more 12 personnel too, a little bit more of what Stefanski ran the first 4 years here, they might be better off once they got healthy than they have been. So yeah, you're right. The line, I agree. The line's probably a part of it. Otherwise, like, I don't think Foreman has a future here. We've already talked about it, and we'll hit it in the offseason. I think Chubb will be back and better next year than he was this year with the time he'll have to recover. And I do think, but he's getting older, and he's not a long-term answer, but we don't need one. We might just need 1 or 2 years of him and then move on. And then Pierre Strong, unfortunately, made a play or two and then got knocked out of the game again. You can't go into next year probably depending on him, but I could see him being on the roster getting a little more trial time. It's a great running back draft. We'll see how they account for that in the offseason.
It's deep running back draft. So I'll be looking forward to see what the Browns make moves there. Speaking of O-line, I'm going to jump to receivers for now, but O-line needs help, especially at left tackle. Now, this is something that we talked about on Saturday, is the line's improving as far as pass blocking is concerned. The only one that struggles is our left tackle, Ifedi, right? I said his name right.
Yeah, and he's been bad.
Yeah, he's been horrible. I think he's like 41% pass 41% pass blocking grade, which is judged by, and I learned this, the quarterback being able to hold the ball for 2.5 seconds or less. That's how they judge. By the way, Watson was 3. He that's how slow he was reading the offense. And Winston was 2.67. I didn't even bother with DTR because I think
they count it whether either the quarterback has to get rid of the ball, run, or scramble to the other side away from that guy's defender is how they count his pass block win rate. And it's been low to the point where, like, as much as everybody hates it, I would have much rather had a healthy Jed Wills.
Yeah,
broken down Jed Wills
he was at 50%, so he's a little higher.
Yeah.
Apparently,
broken down Jed Wills
was. I have a show every single time. Something in my house breaks.
What breaks?
I don't know. I'm not looking at me to figure it out either.
Cats, man.
He's the hated son of Andrew Berry in Cleveland, but he even was better. And then the impromptu slide of Jones over to the left side to just desperately try to cover that end was also a better number than Ifedi is putting up. And he had a terrible start over there. But it's like, that's how bad Ifedi has been. Right now, he's just a body on that side.
So that's something that I brought that up, Sad, because I wanted to show the fans, like, there's something to be encouraged about the offensive line, because I believe you said in the beginning of the year where they're going to start off slow because of injuries. And as the season is progressing here, they're getting better. And maybe they do need to switch schemes, just like Mike said, where they just play action, play in the center more. This is what this offensive line is built for. So maybe they go back into the next year knowing their strengths and hit the strengths as opposed to trying to be this finesse, beautiful offense.
Play action RPOs.
Yeah, play action RPOs.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you hear those comments?
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing. A lot of people are asking the Browns to draft Scatterboot. Love Scatterboot. I think Scatterboot is going to be a great or a good running back in the NFL. The problem is the Browns are not going to be able to draft Scatterboot. Scatterboot's stock after that game against Texas has skyrocketed. And do you think he's going to get out of the first round? He's not. He could probably be the best running back after
Nick
Jensen.
Chubb made out of the first round.
Yeah, but
I never counted out.
No, it is a deep, but I think I think I see a team like with a running back problem who's maybe a running back array like San Francisco drafting this kid, and he's going to ball out. And San Francisco's at the tail end of the about the tail end of the first round. I would like Scatterboot, but I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think you should draft a running back in the first round anyways, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, he's definitely not going third or whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely not going where we're at.
That guy showed up.
And the reality is, people are saying like somebody like Judkins, as good as he is, might slip to like the end of the first round. And so it's like you start thinking about like he had that, a guy can have this incredible game, but then you look at somebody like Judkins that has just an incredible overall resume, and you start wondering like, how it really depends on how much the GM is involved. We've all seen situations where a team this is my scouting. We watched him for 2 years, whatever length of time it is. It's everything to us. And then there's teams that are like, we want to see this kid now. We assume what he did in these last 5 games of the season are what he developed into, so that the kind of philosophy of the team drafting has so much to do with that. But to your point, Scatterboot seems like the type of guy that a Haslam type owner or a Jerry Jones, like a Dallas Cowboys type owner, is like, I saw it, I loved it, I want that guy on my team. And you could see Jerry literally in the draft room at the beginning of the second round or like midway through the first round being like, get me this guy.
Yeah, give me him.
He's done
Give
it
me
before.
Scatterboot.
So it just depends on the philosophy of the team.
Sam's been
I don't see
swearing on
us.
that guy.
I think that Barry is an incredibly like patient and not an emotional or reactive type of drafter. And that's what makes me think like he's probably not coming here unless he slides to a spot where they think like, okay, the value is perfect for us.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the wide receiver stuff. Angel, you got some stats that
James said Scatterboot can bring it. One more comment about Scatterboot. Scatterboot can bring a new meaning to boo coming from the fans in the Brown Stadium. Yeah, so that was funny. That's what I want to say. Jerry Jeudy
was great. Sorry.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy has 84 receptions, and he needs 6 more receptions to break the all-time single-season reception record held by the great Ozzie Newsome, who has 89.
And you know what makes me think he has the Browns would like him to get that is the fact that they are playing Zappy this week instead of DTR.
You know what? That's a good point. I didn't think about that. That is a
Maybe
very
they're like, hey,
good point.
let's
Even
get
though
a
they
quarterback out there
threw
who will
to him,
actually
but-
throw the ball, even though we'll
Yeah.
probably lose.
They threw to him like 50 times last week, which I think was like
Yeah, if
9
he
receptions,
hadn't had like
15.
5 drops, it was his
Yeah,
worst.
he-
I mean, it was his best game. He had his highest amount of catches, I think 12, but he also had his highest amount of drops, which doesn't shock me. By the way, the fan base was like really jilted by that. Like, oh no, the dropsies are back. I'm like, dude, this guy can't possibly be in his normal focused form with 3 games left and DTR playing. He's probably shocked the ball came to him at
Yeah,
the first couple of ones.
Yeah, and
What
don't
the
forget
heck?
Zappy beat us, the Cleveland Browns. But
Yeah, a lot
I know.
a lot of third strings beat us before. We got beat by we got beat by Doug Hodges from Pittsburgh. Remember that?
By the way, I don't even know if he's still in the NFL. We've been
He isn't.
we get beat by quarterbacks, and the next year I'm like, I don't even know if
I don't even know about this. I don't know about
Who's
this.
that
On to the next topic. Dorsey is frustrated. What a surprise. I wonder why Dorsey is frustrated. Maybe because his quarterback is throwing too many picks.
They keep showing him on TV like the last 2-3 weeks. They have had the camera on him. They are waiting for that explosion. They keep slapping the camera on the booth, and he keeps like slamming his hands down, but he just won't bite and like
He
throw a laptop across the room.
So do you guys remember when I called, put Ken Dorsey in there? There was who was it today? It was Daryl Ryder, because he was on 92.3 all morning, saying that possibly Stefanski did not like the move. Obviously, you have to move away from Deshaun Watson to Winston, because that was the same week that happened. He thinks that there was some kind of disagreement with the way that people wanted to play, and the way they wanted to play the quarterback, because Jameis Winston's obviously different than Deshaun Watson. They thought there was indifferences, so Kevin Stefanski's finally like, here you go, have at it. And I'm not saying set up Ken Dorsey, because we all know Ken Dorsey sucks. That just
Seems like it now.
goes to show, right? I mean, you gave valid proof now at this point. But I don't think Ken Dorsey's the guy. He never was. He wasn't in Buffalo. He's not here.
I feel like just the frustration though, like, and then he had like some comments like, I don't know, like you obviously it's not how we wanted things to go, but it is what it is kind of stuff. And I hate that. Like I know people hate the Stefanski comments because they don't tell you much or he like doesn't like open up. But Dorsey, like his frustration is so obvious, and he's at the point where it's like, you know, what's going to happen with next year? He's getting asked, and he's like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. Chad just dropped out the line. Shout out to Streamlabs. But
Yes.
he's back. Go ahead. You said I don't know, and then you dropped off.
Hold on, I'm adding him back. Hold on, Chad. Hold on. They can't hear you.
Hold on, Chad.
No, they can hear
Now
you.
they can hear you.
Maybe
just-
not.
No, I was like, now they can't hear you.
Hold on. Let me.
I'm just kidding. No,
Oh, you son of a bitch! really
You
did that.
tricked him. You
That
tricked
was
him.
good.
I got
That was good.
You tricked him. Got
I
him.
got him. To everybody out there, I was just mouthing nothing to see if Mike thought I still didn't have a microphone going. No, but I mean the moral of the story, like I don't have to go on and on about Dorsey. Like he's not good. This offense the whole time. Like I was okay with the hire because with the hope that he would have learned from his mistakes in Buffalo. As soon as this offense started the first like 4 games of the season, I thought this is getting called just this offense looks just like Buffalo. Then Dorsey's in there calling the plays himself, and it's getting like more and more like we have Jameis out there, but it's getting more and more like what he did to Allen, where it's like, well, we're putting this on the quarterback to throw 58 times a game, and you're like, you have a good defense, you can run the ball a little, like control the clock, like have some balance. But it's not just that. I don't like the scheme. It's too complex. We've been having an incredible amount of penalties all season. People are going on and on about like the discipline of the team, and I look at it and I just think like it changed the whole philosophy of what this team had been doing, and it's complicated. It's more not timing based so much as is like elongated plays, long routes, and you've got a quarterback who like is struggling to let go of the ball, and then a Jameis who like you don't maximize by having him whip it 60 times a game because he's got a turnover problem. And I don't know, when I look at the whole like picture, all I can think is like Dorsey learned nothing. He came in and implemented the same thing. He probably feels like, oh, I would have been successful in Buffalo. They never should have fired me. I'll show them by doing the exact same thing in Cleveland. And you look at like Buffalo, Allen is playing better with more balance. Their running game is very dangerous, and Cooks is not. He's better than Ford, but the idea is he's also a back that people were concerned was not a complete back, but he's very dangerous. And once they started implementing him, it just diversifies the offense. It makes them more palatable offense to watch. And I think to your point of like Stefanski handing over play calls, I wondered why he did it at the time, because like now that you have a quarterback that actually will throw the ball and despite the interceptions can actually make some plays and forward the offense, I thought that was a good time for Stefanski to keep it. It's starting to look more and more like Stefanski knew like this offense is not working. People are going to be saying maybe it's because the way I'm calling it. Heck, maybe it is the way I'm calling it. I got to give it to Dorsey. Let him call it the way he designed it. And then like make it clear that if it doesn't work, it's this offense and not like the way that I'm calling that offense. And it almost feels like he was like, you know what, if this is going to fail, we're going to see why it failed and not just that it failed because the wrong person was calling it.
Yep. And whoever decided to bring Dorsey on, whoever decided they need to have
never seemed like Stefanski.
Yep. Have a mark by their name. And just like when they have a decision in the room, second guess it, because that was a horrible decision. You had a top 10, top 15 offense, depending on what website you're on last year, and you had balance. You had balance, and balance is working in the NFL right now because of the defense and the switching is too complicated to get into right now. So you go back to that next year.
Obvious that they did it for Deshaun. and then Deshaun stinks and he wasn't out there most of the season anyway. They
Yeah.
made all this change,
Stupid.
what appears like for Deshaun, and I don't think Stefanski would have made those changes for Deshaun. I think probably higher up, they were like, well, Flacco looks better than Deshaun, so we must be running the wrong offense because Deshaun should be better than Flacco. And I get that thought process, but it was wrong. It was just Deshaun's another year later, like, oh, Deshaun's just not that good.
He's
So,
not. On to the defense. Defense had its moments to celebrate, but versus Huntley, it could be what you said earlier, that the fact they're on the field 65% of the time, they're gassed. They're probably feeling discouraged. That.
Oh, we just got copyright stricken. Damn it. No, I'm kidding.
But do you guys think the defense will be okay? Even though it seems like people are like, oh, they lost. But this defense is just gassed. I mean, you have friggin' Detroit throwing 47 times, going 3 and outs. Like
That's
sooner or
exactly
later.
why, Angel. They're out on the field more than 50% of the game. I mean, look at the turnover ratio does not help, but time of possession is not in our favor. If it is, it's like you said, it's a 3 and out, and we're defense is right back out there. So yeah, they're getting gassed, and that's what sucks. It sucks to watch it, and them guys are out there fighting their ass off to make another 3 and out happen so they can get off the field, and we could possibly.
And I was
score.
critical of the defense early in the season because they were missing tackles and they didn't look sound, and guys that we expected to be good, like Emerson, wasn't. And so like there was room for criticism early in the season. They have since pulled it together after September and really got it together, and since then have been a much better group. But to me, it's becoming more and more clear that they can bounce back if the offense can bounce back. And the reason I think that's an important topic, not just for this game, but going forward, is because there's a pile of Browns fans that are convinced, I think partly because they, as typical Browns fans, have their expectations too high. They're like, the Browns were the number 1 defense last year. Sometimes, and sometimes they were the number 5, and somewhere, depending on which website you look, they were probably a top 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they weren't just this lock number 1 2000 Ravens defense. They were good though, and I think they had, and we all should know defense rankings is very hard to carry over year to year. So I still think they're staying good, but to expect them to be exactly as good against a much better schedule, much better quarterbacks, much better overall teams this year versus last year, I think is, we had our easy part of the season. It was the first month and we stunk so bad that we didn't get to take advantage of any of it. But yeah, like for everybody out there that thinks we need to blow this up because every part of the team is disappointing, take a look really deep at the defense, their rankings overall, their PFF scoring, their some of their metrics, like they are still pretty good. And then take a look at Pro Bowl votes, take a look at who solidifies some positions, take a look at your young guys like McGuire and Hall, who have come in and immediately, Diabate, like Hickson, who have come in as like not that highly touted freshman and sophomore and actually are laying it down. Like you've got a deep, diverse, good defensive structure to work with. Like that's one of the biggest reasons I don't feel like this is a blowed up situation. I think the defense will be okay as soon as they get a fresh start, some rest, and like, by the way, the hype in their mindset that they actually are accomplishing something when they go out there and kill themselves every play. And we'll see in the offseason what happens to guys like JOK, who it's obviously a giant impact if he can't come back. And there's a little bit of news on that. But like in the holistic view of the defense, you've got 10, 11, 12, 13 reasonable NFL players that you can trot out there next year.
Yeah, I agree. I like the McGuire. I like the and by the way, this is credit to. I know we like to ding on Barry a lot, but I mean he's gotten some young talent this year that seems to be performing. McGuire, 4th round pick, Briggs, 7th round pick, Mike Hall, 2nd round pick. You got Reed, undrafted free agent that's making plays. From
that was me dinging on
draft
Barry,
class.
Sorry.
So I mean our defense has young talent, and he seems to be fixing it with that. So I'm hoping this year he switches the board a little bit and goes on the offensive side to help out specifically offensive line with depth and stuff like that. So I'm okay with the defense. I agree with you. I think the defense would be okay next year. And again, if you implement a different system where you have the ball longer and rest the defense more, does this defense look different when they come out rested as opposed to being gassed?
Especially at this point of the season where guys are injured and you don't have the same rotation and depth you did used to have. Now you got to have some rest because you can't just be like, well, this guy's tired, throw in your next lineman. Like those guys are, we traded away Smith, like Alex Wright is hurt. So now you don't have this, like this 5-person rotation at edge rusher. You're down to 3. And so it's a different need for like a breather than it would have been in week 1 or 4. Like week 15 is no joke, man. These guys have put the miles on.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, it's funny. I got into an argument yesterday with some guy because I like to argue, Chad. That's my thing.
Who doesn't?
I was on Facebook, I think. Some guy's like, hey, Mike Hall hasn't done nothing. He's been out since the beginning of the year. And I'm like, dude, Mike Hall is like
they're not watching
best
the game,
defensive
man.
players we have right now.
He's not watching.
They're not watching. They're not.
Yeah, you're not. Like
His pressure rate for a defensive tackle, defensive interior lineman is insane.
As a rookie,
I gotta tell you, the amount of time he missed with that suspension and then immediately getting hurt, I didn't think he would impact me. I was like, we kind of wasted this first year of his because now he's barely going to get in the rotation. But because of necessity of other guys like Harris and other guys missing some time, you have to get him out there. And I am shocked to see that, like, with him missing that time, he came in and he still disrupts the play. And it's not to say, like, the guy's just freaking incredible. The guy looks like a second-round pick. They draft him with a second-round pick. He looks like a second-round pick. Like, he can play some football. And if you aren't seeing it at all, like,
that's insane.
I could see you missing the game. Like, I could see you not knowing, like, oh, Mike Hall got rotated in. That's him. Like, maybe you could miss that. Then go look at some Mike Hall, like, quick post-game highlights. Go look at his, like, pressure rates and things like that, and you'll see it. Like, you're right. He definitely is impacting the game. You have to know that.
Yeah, that's just a fan.
I'm sorry, Andrew, go
second round. No, he's second round pick.
Second round. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking third.
No, that's just a fan that just doesn't do homework. I mean, you're just seeing. Oh, he has 0 sacks. He has 0 tack.
He's got a sack.
Like, no, I'm just saying, like, they're looking at the stat line of every game and saying, oh, he has 0, so that means he didn't do good. Like, you have to look a little deeper, fans. Let's look a little deeper. His pressure rate.
He's a defensive lineman. He's not like an S rusher. Half the time, his job is to try to take up 2 blocks and get 2 people to converge.
And you might not have not seen him on the field, but there's been a couple of games where they lined him off at edge to get pressure. That's versatility. You guys are not watching the game, so stop playing with us.
A deep impact. It is.
Yeah, deep impact for a second round. That's great. Before we get into a segment, I'm going to call "We Gotta Stop" with. I'm winging it right now because I got a couple topics here. We got to stop.
I actually like calling that a segment. I do like that.
You put on here JOK News. It's not good. You are more medically inclined than me and Mike. So why did you say it's not good?
Yeah, so I don't have any actual news on the injury that's like medical to give any medical knowledge. The reason it's not good is because the last report I just heard was that now he is seeing multiple independent neurologists to try to get a second opinion on how he can handle his recovery. And the only reason that's not good is not to say like, oh, he won't be back or someone won't be able to like help him with that. But much like Denzel Ward and his concussions, just the fact that you have to see specialists and seek out other advice and opinions to try and recover is already a bad sign that the recovery is not happening quickly, smoothly, or as expected by the original neurology team or even orthopedic team. We don't have much news on which team is really following this, but I would say that's bad news to find out that this far in the off season, people are like, well, we haven't heard anything. And that didn't really worry me because we don't hear anything from the Browns, and anything medical is so HIPAA controlled that maybe you just don't know. But hearing that he's like actually actively on his own trying to find more opinions means that somebody gave him opinion he didn't like. So,
Mm.
if somebody comes to me for an opinion like, hey, I went and talked to my doctor, and he says I can't like play soccer anymore, so I just wanted to see what you thought. Well, the reason he came to me is because like he got news he didn't want to hear. And it doesn't mean somebody told him he couldn't play. It might mean somebody like advised against it, which is fine. It may be a medically savvy thing to do to take away any like risk from yourself, to say, hey, you're like, this is dangerous if you go back out there. But also like, yeah, it just gave me pause that he was doing that. And so I'm going to keep following it. But I would say that is unfortunately the first actual thing I've heard about in his case. And I was hoping it would be like, oh, he was in the facility and he was working in the weight room or something. Would be the first thing I heard.
All right. So this segment, I'm going to, we'll probably actually make it a segment now because this is going to be a funny one.
I like it.
I'm going to assume that Chad put most of these in there. So he's going to say, it's called We Got to Stop With. The first one is we got to stop with the 1 and 31 comps comparison to this season, I suppose, right? Was that what you're saying?
And I do get, people are constantly comparing this season to 1 and 31. And I get why this season is more frustrating than 131. And it's very easy because we had expectations this year. And like when we went, whatever it was, 1 and 15, the next year it was pretty clear we drafted Myles Garrett. Like he'll be good, but he's not going to get us a ton of extra wins. The next year you had to have known you were probably going to lose most of your games and you were going to try to draft a quarterback. It was like the second year of a tank. They didn't tank like, let's fall at the bottom, draft a quarterback and go. They skipped several available quarterbacks in that draft to take Myles, and that gave you the idea, okay, it's going to be another rough year. So the frustration of 1 and 31 compared to this season, I get. People are talking about this 3-win season the way they were talking about those, in that the only thing you can do now is fire the coaches like you did then when they brought in Kevin and Barry to start over. The difference and reason we got to stop putting these two things together is everything we just talked about. There is a ton of good players on this defense. There is still a handful of talent to trot out next year on the offense. This is nowhere near that 1 and 15 team that went into like the season that got us Baker Mayfield. This is a team that can turn it around with some tweaks. And so I think we got to stop with pretending like this is the same like terrible roster because the win totals are similar.
Mike?
Sam just said, if JOK can't come back, we better start looking at drafting a linebacker sooner than later. And I know you and I, Chad, had this conversation. Well, we all had this conversation the other day in our group chat. I think the linebacker position, if JOK isn't coming back, might be important. Did you really just strike a pose while taking a drink?
He was like...
I saw it.
I thought he did that too.
I didn't even notice.
He's like, it's just me, man.
He didn't even notice.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to watch it on the video later.
Man. All right. I thought you were gonna come back with your opinion about 1 and 31. But
1 and 31. I think this year's worse because we have a way better roster than 1 and 31. We have better coaching staff for the most part. So yeah, I think this year is definitely worse than 1 and 31.
Okay. The feeling of it's kind of like Chad said, you had expectations of playoffs, and because they're not they're a 3-win team.
We all went between 9 and 11 wins this year, and then we come out with 3.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's a fan feeling though, and I just think we got to stop with like the organization has to act like they did the last time we were bad.
Okay.
Fans think like the organization has to do what they did the last time we were this bad and like fire everybody. It's like, but it's different because we actually aren't as bad as we were when we were 1 and 31. We couldn't have won then because we had nothing. This year we can win next year because we do have plenty of things. We just don't have the most important thing. So that's why I think we got to stop with pretending like this team is as bad as that team. They're just more frustrating than that team.
Agreed. James is always on top of
the comments.
Pressing comments. Yeah, he said that pose helps him hydrate.
There it is.
No, it's not even it, dude. You were full on like
it seemed like you were trying to stretch and drink at the same time.
I know what I was doing. I was holding my headphones on.
Oh, all right.
Hold
all
my
right.
headphones on.
Now it makes sense.
That's what you're gonna
I just
say,
did that
sure.
and felt him, and I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now it makes sense.
No, I'm sure it makes sense. I like what you said because I feel what you said brings context to what you're saying. You said the fans feel that the organization needs to hit the reset button like they did 1-31 compared.
That's what they
I
had to
get
do last time. We were
that-
this bad.
that
This
I-
bad.
That I agree with. I don't think we need to hit the reset button. And that's going to go into, you said we're one thing away. So we're going to go into the next one. It says we got to stop with, and I agree with this 100%, the Justin Fields talk. Why do people want Justin Fields? And I know why.
Ohio State. Oh, you know why? And then you just leave us, Angel. Great. It's the Ohio
We can
State.
answer. It's because he was, It's
Right.
because he's an Ohio State alum, and the fans love him.
Exactly what it is.
We got you.
Yes, I'm
You're
back.
Oh, we
I'm
already
back.
explained why they love him.
Yes.
OH.
Yeah,
Chad
I
was
know.
voguing here. Yeah,
Everybody
man,
knows.
Sam
All you have
says.
to say is like, I know why the fans are obsessed with him, and it's like it's obvious
Yes,
because
it's
we're also
obvious.
Buckeyes fans.
There's
We're
like, I
Buckeyes
will,
fans also, so we are stuck with every Buckeye is
it has to
just
be.
came to Cleveland.
But the reason why he would not be good here is because if you don't like Deshaun Watson, you're not going to like Justin Fields because you're not going to get the guy that plays under center. You're going to get the guy in shotgun. And also, Justin doesn't read the defense well. Why don't people see that?
The guy is going to end up in the long term as a backup to like a great running quarterback like Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson. Like that's his ceiling to me
Yeah.
after 5 years.
And if he was good enough to start, do you think Tomlin would have been like, nah, we're going to stick with Russ? Tomlin is one of the best, smartest coaches in the NFL. If you don't think he's the best, smartest one of the best, smartest coaches in the NFL, I encourage you to watch Hard Knocks and how he watches tape. That made me respect the guy a little bit more. Okay. And I hate that. But he made the decision. People are going, why are you going off Fields? Why are you going off Fields? And Ross has done excellent. If he doesn't,
Been much better than Fields.
yeah. If he didn't start in Pittsburgh, he can't start anywhere. It's just fact.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree too. We got to stop with the Justin Fields talk. Stop transposing him in the Browns jersey and the Browns helmet. It looks ugly on him.
It's all over Instagram. It's all over Twitter. Every
Yeah.
day I look through my timeline and I see Fields to the Browns. Who says no? Obviously, the Browns need to like change it up and bring in Justin Fields, like to turn this thing around. Like, what
How?
about his play in any capacity makes you think he would turn this around? He played for Pittsburgh for like a month and a half, and he threw for like one touchdown pass. Like, come on, guys. He was doing what Deshaun Watson was doing when we were all super pissed, except for he's younger a little bit, not incredibly, but he's younger, and he just
Can get out of the pocket. That's
probably
about it.
has a quicker step. He's probably got a quicker step. So if you want him running a lot, great. If you want, Jerry Jeudy and Tillman and these guys to come out and show something, Njoku, like it's not Fields, man. It's not it.
Here,
We
you guys
gotta
want to hear
stop.
something effed up? I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, Dave Wallencheck. He's a Steelers fan since he's been born. He hates Tomlin. He cannot stand Mike Tomlin. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. Like, that guy is smart. He is. I guarantee you, if the Pittsburgh Steelers fire him, instantly he will have a job, without a doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
The guy's literally like I'm not going to jump the gun. The guy is closer to a Hall of Fame resume than he is to being a bad coach. So
yeah.
I just don't know what to tell people. They're frustrated because they haven't gone to Super Bowls. They're frustrated because when he was in his younger tenure, they went to the playoffs and won more playoff games than they do now. And I'll say the same thing I've been saying to Browns fans. He had a quarterback then. What he's doing now without a quarterback is freaking incredible. It was very different with Ben Roethlisberger, who was a lock at quarterback. When he gets that again, I'm going to be terrified. I was so glad when they drafted Pickett, and I didn't think he was that guy. And I'm like, oh, good. They strapped him with like a mediocre quarterback.
I don't want to
So
talk
they'll
about
only
Pickett on
win
the show this
9 or
week.
10 games. It's
I'm
like-
not talking about Pickett on the show this week.
Now
Pittsburgh
that
Ste-
guy the Browns should be looking at.
Bigger. On to the next. And I agree yet with this. We got to stop with fire Kevin and AB. Stop it. Tell us why.
So this is not even like, I don't want to crush people's opinions, man. You have the right to your opinion. You don't like AB because you believe he was the brain behind that Watson trade. First of all, the only reason I disagree there is because I think the idea of the trade was good, even though I didn't want to do it. But like, at least it made sense. Like, and if you just hate Jedrick Wills and you're like, he drafted Jed Wills and I hate him, I hate AB, whatever. It's not that you can't like dislike Kevin and AB. All day on X and other sites, all I see is here's a plan for the offseason to fix the Browns. First, fire AB and Kevin and bring in, and I'm like, that's not the plan. If you want to give us a plan for the offseason, give us a reality, because they've literally come out so many times and said, by the way, we are not letting AB and Kevin go. We extended them for a reason. We like what they do in their individual positions. Guys came out after the owners meeting, like real insiders like Schefter and Rappaport were like, well, word out of the owners meeting is the owners doubled down on the idea that they're not getting rid of the head coach and GM after this season. And then time after time all over social media, people are like, well, the fix for next year is we're going to fire AB and coach. And it's like, no, we aren't. Like, stop putting that in your algorithm for fixing for like what is going to happen this offseason. And like, if you do want to complain about it, fine, but you're wasting your time because it's not happening. It's like all the people that are like, we should cut Watson in the offseason. You can't. There's just certain things. I mean, that should be another one. We got to stop with the cut Watsons. It's not helpful for the franchise to cut him. It's more helpful for them to hide him financially. Like, these are just things that, like, let's live in reality, guys. We got to stop with the fire Kevin and AB to fix this team talk, at least this particular offseason. And for that matter, we got to stop with the cut Deshaun Watson's. It's not going to happen. So stop wasting your breath with the idea.
James, I never disagree with your comments, buddy, but this one I'm going to have to. He says, I still wouldn't be mad if they could get Trevor Lawrence somehow.
I would
take him in a second.
I don't know. I think he's a victim of system there. I think he would be what Sam Darnold is in Minnesota here, because he's under center, he's tall, he's got a good arm, and I think he can read defenses. I think he just needs to start over somewhere.
I'd give it a shot.
I was just gonna say I don't have like high hopes for him. If you could trick that organization into somehow taking some financial burden so that you could like take him off your hands, like I would give up our first rounder probably this year for him.
Yeah, he'll be a better
first rounder.
No, yeah, because he'll be a better quarterback than you. He'll be a better.
I think he'll be better than Shedeur.
Yes.
I think he's better than Shedeur Sanders, and I think he's better than Cam Ward.
Yeah, and
I agree.
Those are your two options.
Yeah, those are your two options.
For a first rounder, though?
Yes, it makes sense because you have to think, what do you want with your first pick?
I would hate doing it because it's expensive. That's why I said they would have to like.
It's a big leap
You'd have to be able to throw in. You'd have to be able to throw in your quarterback or something to like.
What has he had in Jacksonville that shows you that he can't do it?
He's had a couple okay receivers, but he's been in a bunch of off-state. I would put it this way: like, he hasn't shown me everything I need to see. I feel like he's the kind of quarterback that would excel with what Kevin had going with Baker Mayfield. I think he could do just what Baker Mayfield was doing, which was good enough for us to get to a playoff game and win one. And he's not very old. I would be willing to pull him in. I mean, I'd have to think about exactly what would have to go into the trade, like the give and take. But I would be happy to find a way to get him if you could like shed some pounds from Deshaun Watson's contract in order to pay him, because he's paid high.
Yeah, he is
way overpaid. But like, I'd rather pay somebody overpay somebody who can play a little and who I can trot out there and can actually stay on the field most of the season versus what we have right now.
That's a big risk.
If it was last year's draft, I'd be like, no way. Give me one of these young guys.
Why, Mike?
So many questions.
Why is it a risk as opposed to drafting a rookie?
You guys already know my outtake on the quarterback situation.
Oh no, I know.
Want a veteran, and he is a veteran. He's considered a veteran, right?
I know you. Yeah, he is a. When did he get drafted? Well, he's in the second contract, so it has to be 5 years ish.
So, they extended him early, so I'm not sure actually how long he's been in.
I mean, to be honest, guys, I'm not completely
2021.
against it. I'm not completely 100% against it. I'd love to give it a shot, but we've watched this Cleveland Browns franchise bomb on several other quarterbacks, and I
Dude.
think this.
He's the age of
he's-
DTR, by the way.
He's thrown for 4,000 yards twice.
Yeah, so did
Over
so
4,000
did,
yards twice.
so did Jameis Winston, and so did Deshaun Watson. I mean,
But he doesn't have Deshaun Watson history, man. He's
All
not
right,
getting
here-
massages in
here's
the
my
back
biggest-
room somewhere.
here's my biggest thing right now. You want to bring in another quarterback in here first, fix the left tackle situation.
I agree with that.
You're going to have a guy come in here.
But-
if you have a guy coming in from college, one, he's going to get his ass busted because we have nobody at left tackle to block his blind side, right? Secondly,
But
you
that-
bring in a veteran, again, he's going to get his ass busted because we have nobody to block his blind side because for some reason we always pick up right-handed quarterbacks. When was the last time we had a left-handed quarterback?
Trevor
Or-
Lawrence is your left. I'm just playing. I don't know if he's left-handed. I was just
No, is he?
bringing it up. I'm not sure.
I think he's right-handed.
Probably. Okay, I'm just joking. I was just trying to mess with your point there, but go ahead.
Damn you, Angel.
There's not
You
that
and
many.
Chad
There's not
wanna
that
play
many in the
There's not many.
NFL.
There's not that
The only
many.
one I can think of off the top of my head is Tua.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
here's another. I asked this before the show, Chad, when you weren't here. Ambidextrous quarterback. Say he takes a snap in shotgun formation, correct? He has the ball in his right hand. What side of the field is he going to throw the ball to?
Whichever side he's looking or facing, I
All right,
guess.
so if he has the left hand set, what side is he going to throw the ball to?
I mean, guys throw to both sides. Right-handed quarterbacks don't
I
only
get that,
throw
but-
left.
But if you know what number one receiver you're going to go to, if you're going to grab the ball and say you could throw ambidextrous, right hand, left hand, if you're facing the left, if you grab it with your left hand, you're more than likely going to throw to the right side of the field, correct?
I mean, that
More than likely.
guys can barely shoot a basketball left-handed. I can't believe a guy
Right.
could train to throw left-handed.
Well, there's a kid that's supposed to be coming to Ohio State that's an ambidextrous quarterback, and I don't believe it 100%.
I mean, that'd be incredible, but
I
don't-
don't think it.
I don't
yeah.
think it will.
By the way, there's two quarterbacks that are left-handed currently in the NFL: Tua and Michael Penix Jr.
oh, Penix is a lefty. I didn't
Yes.
even know that. I should.
But here,
Neither did I.
but my argument is Trevor has thrown 3,000 his first year, 4,000. His worst year is this year, which is 2,000 yards, and he has a what was that ratio? I just looked it up. His TD to turn 69 touchdowns, 46 turnover ratio. I think that's more or less the system. I just think he'd be good here. I just think he can be good in Kevin's system. I think he can do what Sam Darnold doing in Minnesota. I would be intrigued, and I think he would be a better option than Ward or Sanders. Now again, Mike, if you're looking for a quarterback at the first pick of your first pick, that's what I'm saying.
But
I
again, the
agree with your-
downside is the price. So, like, when you draft Ward or Sanders, you're getting a rookie contract, and why that's so beneficial is because we got Deshaun's contract, and now you're fine on the cap, and you're fine on your contracts. If you could find a way to get Trevor, you can't afford to have a $245 million quarterbacks on the roster. One of them's got to go somehow. So you have to find a way to like change that, because I just don't think it's realistic to pay that much. But
that would be a lot.
I can just tell you right now, if he was in this draft in his current position or in his actual like coming out of college position, he'd be the first pick, and zero people would be talking about
Yeah.
a debate.
I'm
That's
gonna-
what
I'm
makes me
gonna-
think of it.
I'm
And he's
gonna
only
s-
25. It feels different than like, I mean, he's younger than when we traded for Deshaun. Like, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop this now, and we're going to move on because it'll be good off-season talk. But now we're going to get into more realistic things about Bailey Zappi starting for the Browns this
Sunday.
Saturday.
Again, he's an under center
Wonder why I
quarterback.
want- Now you wonder why I want Trevor so bad.
Yeah.
I get it. I do. I
He
get
is
it. I get it.
he's the ninth quarterback starting in 2 years, by the way. He is under the center quarterback, so you'll see some play action this Sunday. I wonder if we'll see more of a Kevin system as opposed to just a Dorsey system this week. He is 4-4 as a starter, 2,815 yards, 13 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He does have a game-winning drive against Denver last year.
And the
I
Browns.
ended it. Yeah, I ended it in a positive note. There you go. So there's some
He's a
good
better player
things.
than DTR, and I expect him to earn a spot on this roster going into next season as like a potential backup or third string quarterback.
Third string, I agree.
That's what he's out there for.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and again, you're going in this game to see what he has, and you hope that he can pull off the non-upset because they are 20.5 and a half point underdogs.
Enough.
They're just.
I mean, your
they're-
goal
they're
with a
horrible.
soft tank is
horrible.
you want to lose the game, but you do want to like show up. That's
I-
the real tank is like you sit everybody, nobody plays. You
Yeah.
find an excuse for everybody out there. You trade away everybody you can that can help you, which they didn't do this year. They traded away Amari Cooper and Smith, and they had guys that they felt like young guys who could step up and take those roles. That's why I always call it a soft tank. So they're soft tanking. You still want guys to show up, and you don't want DTR stuff. You want like Winston stuff where it's like, oh, it was fun. They scored points. Guys were productive. People are happy, but they lost. Like that's the goal. And I think Zappy will do that better than DTR. But I think Zappy probably had a chance to beat the Dolphins because I think he's competitive with Huntley and with that team. So I was almost just like, okay, I'm glad they didn't play him last week because I think he's very clearly better than DTR.
Agreed. And that's the end of our notes. We're going to go into Cleveland sports headlines and other sports. That's what's on my notes. The big game on the first, OSU 41, Oregon 21 at the Rose Bowl game. This sets up a Ohio State versus Texas semifinals. Are you guys, well, what did you guys think of the
In
game?
Dallas, by the way.
Chad was there.
Chad was there in the stands, not in Oregon, but in the stands watching the game. What do you think? Give us your view of like, the vibe of the game and everything
incredible.
happening.
So the Rose Bowl is a really cool venue. It holds like 91,000 or something total like occupancy, but it's a small stadium. I don't know how they pack these people in, but they're like today's attendance is 90,000. I'm like looking around. I'm like, there's no friggin' way that many
Dude, I
people.
was watching it too. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way. I was thinking like
And I'm like,
30,000.
so I don't know where they're at. It looks like the tiniest stadium, but the lowest rows are like right on the field. I mean, you're like right up there. So before the game, we were out at the tailgate for a while. I had to take the train up from San Diego in the morning, but I got there at like 11 something. So I had time to like poke around the tailgate, go by like the Ohio State alumni tailgate, go hop into some other Ohio State tailgates and like chat with some other fans that had like headed up there. And I had a great time. I went into the stadium a little bit early. And I got to like walk around as the guys were warming up just so I could go down and see the guys. You can get up close and personal, but you had to be in that stadium for like 30 seconds to look around and be like, oh, there's this like 2/3 Oregon fans, which shocked me because I just feel like Ohio people not only travel well, but we're everywhere. And Ohio State has such a massive fan base. But I guess it makes sense in the idea that like Oregon's on the West Coast. It was probably not only a pretty affordable flight, but it's a 2-hour flight or so. It's pretty easy flight from Oregon. And the stadium was a clean 2/3 Ducks. I heard on TV from some friends, like it looked like 50-50. I'm like, well, then they're showing it to look like that because it was clearly Ducks. And we were up in the boxes. So I was above the Oregon side. And that area was like 50-50 up in the top box. Ducks and Ohio State fans. And when the guys were coming out, like the bands were playing, Ducks fans were going crazy. Ohio State fans too, but just outrung by Ducks fans. Ohio State fans start doing some OH chants. Ducks fans just start doing Go Ducks and just drowns them out. They're just so loud. There's so many of them. And then, of course, the game starts, and 5 minutes into the game, silence. It was the most beautiful thing because I was like, this is not a home crowd, but this is a very uneven crowd of really rowdy Duck fans that are like, this is our shot. We're going to the championship. We're going to beat them again. Then we're going to go beat Texas, and we are going all the way. And the shock and awe of the Ducks fans sitting around us and the whole Ducks section under us was like freaking incredible. It's the best part of the game.
So when you went down there and seen Jeremiah Smith, were you like
Heisman pose? but drinking at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
No, it was
that was an
it was an
incredible,
incredible game, man.
So it was good that they came out in a fast start to silence that crowd, because if it was any close, they probably would have drowned it out. It kind of probably would have
Yeah.
favored Oregon for sure.
I mean, we talked about the only two things I could think about that game. I mean, Ohio State is better now than when they played Oregon. They have some injuries and things, but just as a team, they have figured out a way to be better. I know the Michigan thing is a nightmare, but like, I just feel like they were looking forward. They took them for granted that Michigan wasn't very good. We just watched Michigan beat Alabama. Like, they're better than their record, but like, as a team, Ohio State is more capable on offense than they were earlier in the season. And if they had game planned Michigan better and taken a little bit more seriously that game, they would have probably won it. But the reality is, when you come out, the extra week of them playing while Oregon was resting aside, that is one factor. When you come out and you not only score, but you just can't be stopped for 2 drives in a row, it just silences the crowd enough, and then you get another stop and you get down there into scoring position again and you score a third time. Like, it was just like the feeling of the mumbling, and like the players in Oregon side are waving their towels trying to get the crowd amped up again, but like, it was just not there. One guy was complaining about it. He's like, "Stop waving the freaking towel and get out there and make a play." Like, they're becoming frustrared. Like the fans are frustrated. The players are trying to like, "Get up, we need your energy," and they're like, "Show us something. You don't need we need some football." But
So when you open up with a 45, 42, 46-yard field goal, 43-yard touchdown pass, and Henderson rushing for 66 yards for a touchdown, that kills you. That is to do that, and basically in an away stadium, because I mean, like you said,
they made big plays.
Yeah, it was huge.
Plays, like with Abuka, I think, scored second. Smith scored the first one, and those are both on big plays, great catches, and like, it was like, oh, that's a little bit of a shock. Now they wrung out, like, they were desperate. They were going on in 4th downs. They were doing anything they could to score on that final drive, and they got the 2-point conversion, and they knew they were getting the ball back. So we were like, not sweating, but thinking like, oh, they can get themselves back into this game at least respectably and give themselves a chance if they come out and score. And the crowd was, of course, excited when they scored the first one, but when they scored that second drive coming out of the halftime, the crowd of Oregon exploded. And then I think they actually might have, for the first time there, made Ohio State punt. So their crowd was hyped.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State made a stop, got the ball back. And when they were able to score, and you had just said the play, when they were able to like break that big score, I feel like the sails went flat so fast, where they're like, oh my God, we're stopping them. We're coming back. We're going to score 28 in a row, and we'll be right back in that. And then when Ohio State scored, and now like 5 or so minutes are off the clock in the third, 7, 8, 10 minutes are off the clock in the third quarter. After that, all of a sudden, I think the reality set in that like, there is no chance that we could win this game. We can't stop them. And the only way we can win is to score like 4 unanswered to get back in it, and we can't stop them. So, yeah, it was an incredible.
Exciting.
Now it's just me apparently. Yeah. Obviously that game yesterday was amazing, and Chad is back. Angel is back. I actually switched them. Hold on.
Oh, did you lose us? Because we thought we lost you.
Yeah, we thought we lost you. Nope.
No, hold on. I got Chad coming back. I just got it. Oh my jeez. Hold on. Angel, I gotta put you where you go. I gotta put Chad on his cam. There we go. Oh my gosh.
Or we can trick people to think I'm Chad and he's
it went that way for a second.
Now they know.
Thank you, Streamlabs. I'm glad you got that $19 a month for that.
Yeah, Streamlabs about to Streamlab out of my account here in a minute. But yeah, it was a great game. They against Texas. If they beat Texas, they go, I think, Notre Dame versus Penn State, and the winner of that will go against the winner of us in Texas.
Okay, so the one frustration, I mean, we can beat if we beat Oregon, we can beat Texas, and they don't think that way. They're going in thinking like, I mean, Texas is incredible. It's a great team.
I do like that quarterback from Texas, by the way. Texas quarterback.
Yeah, we've heard. This is going to be a huge game for Browns fans because they're going to be watching some guys that from both teams
Second round.
definitely have potential to be on one of these NFL rosters in the first 2 rounds. There's a ton of NFL players in this next game, and Texas is great. It's going to be a battle. It really frustrates me that a lot of people probably. I mean, the stadium got outdone by Oregon fans, and so many people traveled. Those people aren't traveling to Texas again next week, like others will. But like it's getting to the point where it's in Texas. Everybody in Texas is a fan of Texas. Austin is right down the friggin' street. Like it's going to be a Texas home game, which is frustrating.
Absolutely. They
but
said it was.
These are the big
partially
games. You
supposed
can't
to be-
predict who's going to go where. I wish they had set the brackets to be like, okay, well, Texas has no chance of playing in this bowl, the Cotton Bowl or whatever it is, until like Georgia has no chance to play in the Peach Bowl. Like they shouldn't be in a bracket where they can play in basically their home state during this. But that's not something that the NCAA will ever listen to me on. But it is frustrating and it's a worry. But if you saw the way they played against Oregon, if they can come out with 80% of that, they're winning another game and they're going to the national championship. And they've already taken out probably the 2 best teams in the tournament. So
yeah, and they beat Notre Dame, and they obviously can handle Franklin and Penn State. So we get past
and
that.
Georgia is also very good. There's a lot of great teams this year, but if you beat Texas and Oregon, you got to feel like, okay, we're going to probably be the favorite in that.
I agree.
In that game.
James wanted to know, did the fans of the Ducks leave in masses?
Oh my God, it was so funny because I told you, I took the train up, and I was like, I was walking to the stadium from the train station. It's about 1.75 miles, which is not crazy to me. It's mostly downhill too, and it was a really nice day. It was like 72 and sunny. Beautiful day to walk. I passed all the cars, all of them, every car. No car was moving, just trying to get to the tailgate park and the parking lots to go to the game. And I'm just walking past them all. And I was like, man, it's going to be just an equal nightmare to get out. Nope, because 70% of the Oregon fans left after the third quarter. So they were all out of the way, and it made it really easy for the Buckeye fans to stay for 20 minutes after the game, cheer with each other, celebrate, see the awards, see a rookie grab that record and the MVP, and a rookie, you know what I mean? But it was great. And then we got to leave, and there's so much less chaos leaving because the Oregon fans, and for good reason. I mean, they were down by 20 points at the end of the third, and they weren't able to stop Ohio State at all. Ohio State just basically took their foot off the gas to end the game and just started burning time. But yeah, they started piling out, and I wish I had gotten a video of that. That would have been a really fun video of just everybody screaming to the exits. And then the end of the game, I think I did take one picture. At the end of the game, the stadium is 85% red, and there's just that 15% of people who are probably like, this is a great experience anyway. I'm just going to stick it out and see the awards. I'll never be back for something like this. So
I want to say I give respect to the Oregon Ducks players for the way they handled it. At the end of the game, there was certain players that came up to,
and their fans were pretty good. I would say their fans were pretty good. They weren't in shot, but they weren't dicks about it. And I love their colors. I like Oregon. I think it's a really cool state. There's a lot of stuff to love about Oregon. They're just a place that I have a good vibe for, and I would cheer for if they were playing probably anybody else from the Big Ten that was not Ohio State or not affiliated to me. I like them. It's a shame that they're in the Big Ten now because now I have to like them less. But it was good. They're fun. They're we play Hang on Sloopy. They play the I can't think of it, from Animal House. You know it.
Oh shoot. Let me the Animal House.
I don't
know. Well, anyways, it was filmed
song?
there, so that's what they play during a timeout. They alternate, and Ohio State plays Hang on Sloopy. And then the band, of course, we play our we have our go-to band songs from the Ohio State marching band, and then shout, yeah, it makes me want to shout. Shout.
Greg,
and so they start
Gregory
playing it.
Says he's gonna have a good night. He's gonna go finish rebuilding the carburetor in his Corvette. Happy New Year! Thank you, Greg, for joining us, man.
Corvette.
That's awesome. But yeah, they play Shout as a fun. Everybody's having a great time during that song. We even though Ohio State fans were, because by then we were already up by 20 and so or 30 points. So but they still like sang and did their whole routine, even though they were getting crushed by 30. And their band's like big song they play at halftime is the DuckTales theme, which is hilarious.
DuckTales.
DuckTales. Ooh.
Yeah, so like they're gonna the ultimate duck song, DuckTales, and I don't know, everything about it was just fun, fantastic fanfare. But yeah, it was the way they won it was just incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them beat Texas. I can't wait for them to see them beat Notre Dame and become champions. That's what I'm saying. That's how the bracket's going to break down.
That would be awesome. I'd love that.
I would just want to rub it in my Michigan friend's face. Please.
Yeah. Lastly, the Cavs are winning, and they're winning games big, and they're winning on the road. Last, Denver Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers, and tonight I believe they have.
They're all tonight.
Oh, they're all tonight. Okay, sorry. Tomorrow they have Dallas. Impressive, right? Those Cavs.
Incredible.
29-4. 4.
I think the NFL finally. I mean, I think the NBA finally notices. Like, I think we had that fast start, and people were like, "Oh, that's a fun, exciting thing for you guys." But like, let's get real. You're not going to beat the Knicks and the Celtics. And I think it literally took till like almost the new year for people to be step back a little bit and be a little more open to the idea of like, oh, these guys. Somebody posted on Twitter today. It was a great tweet. I don't remember who did it, but it was somebody it was like a Knicks beat reporter. He's like, I just want to like give a reality check to all the NBA fans out there. You don't go like 28-4 out of on a lucky streak. That is like you go 28. You get this far with 4 wins because you're incredible. He's like, so don't be shocked later if this is exactly the team that the Knicks are seeing.
They have Oklahoma coming up in the next week or so, back-to-back games. So that's going to be a fun game to see. But what did it for me locally, you start hearing a lot about them nationally, but locally from local news and national radio, is that Denver game when Denver threw up 135 points on them, but the Cavs end up scoring 149. So they're like, maybe this team is for real. And that's a team that not a lot of people win at in Denver anyways. I mean, Cleveland has a horrible history in Denver, but you go there and you put up 150 points on them, and that's when the national people here are like, oh, maybe this Cavs team is for real.
They're setting records with threes. They know how to turn on the defense when they need to. They can score in a lot of different ways. And I think the reality is like they do have some matchup issues with some bigger teams, and they're always going to. But every team has some weak spots, and I guess when you're looking at an overall contender, yeah, there's 3 or 4 other teams out there that probably have a legit shot. But if you're not considering the Cavs one of them because of what happened in the playoffs last year or the year before, this just isn't the same team. They're just as talented, but they're more like fine-tuned. They run a better offense. And again, we've seen this same roster when they're healthy, especially like when Okoro is back and in full go. When they need to turn on the defense, they can in a lot of different ways, and they do what it takes to win, and they are winning difficult games. And so, and I'll give them that. I've heard some people say, well, they've got like the 24th most difficult schedule. Okay, maybe they're not just beating the bad teams. They're winning against the good teams. Plenty for you not to be worried about what the schedule is.
All right.
And we'll end it with Sean saying not only are the Cavs a great basketball team, but they are also very professional and great character players. It makes it 10 times better, which is true. Team unity and camaraderie is a big thing. We saw it last year with the Browns. Yeah, we saw it last year with the Browns.
Pay attention, Browns fans.
Yeah. So that's all, man. That's all we have. The first show of the new year went great. We probably went about an hour and a half. Yeah, about an hour and a half-ish.
Hour and 35 minutes and 30 seconds.
But hey, that's what we do here. We do big. We'll be live Saturday for the Boarding Browns Brew. Me, Mike, and Sam we'll break down the Baltimore game or lack thereof. I don't even know what we're going to talk about Saturday because we're 20 points.
I know what we're talking about Saturday. We got an announcement on the show this Saturday.
Yeah, we have a big announcement to about the show this Saturday. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Baltimore game, and then we'll probably just hit topics, fun topics, just to talk about, because eventually the season's done. Okay, we're going to be in off-season mode,
The
so we'll
final chapter.
we'll come up with just random shows for you, football related. We're just going to work it out. I don't know what we're going to do. We're hoping to be a playoff run, but obviously it is not. It's disappointing. But nonetheless, thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, follow all our socials. Until next time, like always, people, go Browns, unfortunately.
Go Browns. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Angel. And don't forget to join us Saturday, 10 a.m. Me, Sam, and Angel. Me, Angel, and Sam. That sounded weird.
And I refuse to get up on Saturday.
Yeah, that's why Chad's not here on Saturday, because he's 3 hours behind us. But yeah, we'll be here Saturday. Again, a big announcement this Saturday coming for you guys, and we look forward to seeing you there. Whether or not it's a good game, bad game,